It's Steve from Prima. I'm going to run through the latest exciting, hopefully, you find them exciting enhancements we've added to Prima in the last customer release, which covers the last customer release was 0.08, and we're currently on 0.16. Obviously, I'm always in the very latest, but the features you see today are available to you in 23.16. So I'm just going to run through. There's quite a few things to cover, but it'll take me about probably 15 minutes to run through those and give you an overview of how they work and what benefits you can get from them. So we're going to start off with one that already exists, which is in sales orders, and that's the deposits and balances. Now, deposits and balances already exist, so this is really just, it was in 08. This is an improvement to what we already had. And obviously when we put new features out, sometimes you can pick up some issues that customers come back with. So we've reacted to them and also made it better. What we've actually done here is we've added a few new features around particularly invoice on authorization. We had a few issues where certain locations for customers were invoice on authorization, and then when they used the deposit, it ended up doing the deposit invoice, and as soon as they authorized, it did the balance straight away, which is not what you want when you've got a deposit and balance and balances. Also, quite often, for some companies, the default for when you're taking deposits and balances would be to accept back orders. So in this case, this here we got required back orders, but even if the default was ignore back orders, there's a system key now where you can say what you want your default to be. So if you don't set the system key, it will be exactly what that customer already has. We'll see it will change. So for example, then I've got an order, one I previously created. Obviously, this tends to be for larger orders with furniture maybe and stuff like that, but it doesn't really matter for any order. You can, as we know from previous webinars, you can do this by value or percent. But if I put 12.5 in there, for an example, and take a deposit on this. Now, you can take a deposit anytime you want, which will move it to confirmed, which means that you can still edit and add items to the sales order. Or if you don't do that and you've got a deposit in, then on authorization, it will automatically take the deposit, create the deposit invoice. But I'm going to do it now, and just to show you what happens. So at this point, it will create the deposit invoice. We've got the link to the deposit invoice, and you'll see it unticks the invoice on authorization, so that you don't, when you authorize it, you don't suddenly get the second invoice which you didn't want. And also in here, you see it swapped it to require back orders. So that's just a new system key that will allow you to set that up. Probably show you that. I'll show you that in a moment. What we've also done is we've made some other improvements based on feedback from customers. So when you go back into the line and you come back onto the header, we did have an issue where the button change didn't happen, and so it was possible to invoice any new, do a new deposit invoice for any new stuff, any new lines you'd added. So again, that was not what was required. So we took that out. So yeah, that other system key, I think you'll find in movements. I'll show you that in a moment. Yeah. So that really covers. Yeah, if you went into a line, if you went into here or you added new items and then come back into the header, this will always be the link to the deposit invoice, and it won't allow you. So if I click on there, that comes up with a new deposit sorry, the same deposit invoice. If you add new lines, then those new lines will not get a deposit, but they will get invoiced in full later. So um, this has been used for a while with some beta sites. So we know this, this is working well, and the feedback we've got from it is very positive so far. There is one final phase for this, and that's currently on the deposit invoice we don't have any costs, and the commissions all are based on when the balances are completed. So we've had some feedback that that's not what's really wanted. So what we're going to do in the next phase, which will be in the next customer release, is that we will add so that on the deposit invoice it will do the even for this percentage, it will do the same percentage on the cost prices. Um, but it is quite complex because you can make lots of changes afterwards, and these items indeed you can change the prices, increase them. So it has to make a lot of adjustments on the balance. So it wasn't it isn't a trivial job, but we're putting that in place, and what it should do is create the commission. So it wouldn't be 100% commission on the deposit, which is what it is currently. It would be whatever commission rate it is, and then on the balances, obviously that that commission would be based just on what balances you're doing. But we also have to make an adjustment in case any of the deposit stuff has been adjusted or removed. Yeah, that's what we mean there. Okay, so that's deposits and sales orders. If we look at the next one, that's advanced sales quotes and standard quotes and sales orders, etc. Just close these down. So on sales quotes, on advanced quotes, we used to have some extra fields that would allow you to put in 5 extra fields, and mainly used again for furniture and for miscellaneous items and stuff like that. So I'm just going to restart this. Sorry. Bear with me for one moment. So yeah, as I said, in advanced sales quotes, mainly used for furniture, and when you're doing your own quotes, you could add 5 extra fields, which is code, location, and 3 info fields. And the location, for example, could be used so that your furniture, for example, could be in the conference room, and another could be in the meeting room or various places, and then you could group that's in previous versions you could group it by the location. So we've just taken this a little bit further so that it's now available on advanced quotes and standard quotes, but it's also available on sales orders, and it will push through all the way through into the buying list. So if I put in 1.4, so this is an example of a quote where you might put in some additional information. So another thing we've done is go into here on the and this, as I say, it's been added to all areas. If you go into an advanced quote, you've got these extra fields available. But in all of them now, you have this extra tab, which will allow you, even if it's not an advanced quote, it will allow you to put these fields in here. And then once the quote is completed, these fields are available in the sales order, and you can update them in the sales order. The original quote will be what you quoted for, but you can update it. And then these fields get moved. If it's a template, it will be split out and available in purchasing. So you've got a lot of extra information that you can put on there. They don't have to be templated items. This one is an example of a templated item. You'll also note here that any additional notes you put on the sales order, sorry, on the product. So you can create miscellaneous items now. And if you wanted to put extra information in the notes field, then that information will come through.
Hey, Steve, I have a question. This is Lisa from Office Express.
Hi, Lisa. Yeah, fire away.
So, hi. So on this location, when you were back on that other screen with that location, new tab, does that work with the Giza imports as the tagline? Will that come in through to that spot?
You mean these fields here, these additional fields?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the moment, the only field that's used is this field, yeah, and it puts all the line. So this is mainly for manual. So in Giza 2020, if they come through, they come through to here. So we don't split. Yeah, these are really for manual. When people are doing manual quotes, you can put additional information and stuff, but I don't think it's really going to work because we put all the stuff into here in a specific format and then move it. But let me know if you think there's some advantages. I mean, there are just so many possibilities that 5 fields don't cover it, and again, when you complete these quotes, right, all the information, as I say, this additional tab is also available on sales orders and allows you to update it. So it's really just extra information, and it's just really useful for getting more onto your manual quotes, really, for sales orders rather than the Giza ones. Yeah.
Well, in Giza orders, you have the tagline that is on the orders, and that tag information currently does not come over into Prima at all.
All right, I think I know what you're talking about now. This, yeah,
which would be that location spot. So,
yeah.
that's something
that. Okay. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think DDMS had 3 tags available, didn't they? In addition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'll have a look at that, and I'll email you some details, and we can decide if that will work for you. Yeah. So other stuff we've done on the quotes is that we've added the facility, and this is quite exciting, really, because it's always been a frustration that you've got to invoice. You've got to remove one line at a time. So we've now made this grid multi-select. And rather than saying you can't delete in this tab, yeah, if you come up to here and delete, then you can delete the lines from here, yeah. And the only issue you might have there is if it's on a web quote, you have to, before you can remove multiple lines, you have to remove it from the web first. That's just something a bit of a gotcha if you've got that quote published to the web. But that's a nice feature. And for the next release, we're planning to do the same in the sales order and the receipt note. So rather than as before, it used to give you a warning and come here and you'd have to delete from here individually each line. So that'll allow you. Now, what it does is it'll only let in quotes. It's quite straightforward because you can normally delete the lines because it's just an outstanding quote at this stage. But when you get into a sales order, obviously there's a lot more. Whether it's allocated, whether it's already been ordered and stuff like that. So that's quite a bit more complex. But you can see that it will work in the same way, and you can keep deleting them and adding as many times as you want. And then when that moves to a completed quote, if we jump to the order, you'll see that the information carries across to your order. Yeah? So there's your outstanding order, and if we go into that information here, you see you've got this additional info tab here, and you've got the same information. At which point, you know, if you had some changes, you can update it in here, and save it, and that information will go across to your vendor. If it's a templated item, it'll split this out and put it on separate lines, as it's always done. Yeah. So as part of that, we've updated all the way through now, so that the notes field in the line, both on the quote, on the order, on the so this notes field here, sorry, not the buying notes, the product notes, all the way through this line notes has been increased to 1,000 characters, and we've added a button so that you can actually. It was very hard to read 1,000 characters, but now you've got the ability to open that and have a look at more detail. Okay, so that's really all on that feature. We've got a great new feature that's been added to. I don't know whether. Hopefully, some of you have seen this already. It'll be explained more detail in the notes, but on sales orders now, we have expected date, and that shows. I have a look at orders this month, for example. Yeah, if you look in your systems, you're going to get much better results. But within a sales order, obviously, actually, it's got to be. I'll pick an invoice one. So the best way for me to show this, sorry, is from a purchase order. So if I So what this means is that whenever you purchase something, you have the purchase date and the date that the item's expected. So what we've done effectively is made that available in the sales order, so that and as through the receipt process, if it gets taken off and stuff. So this date here, we now reflect in the sales order lines. And this can change because obviously the item doesn't come in, it gets taken off a receipt note, or taken off a dispatch note, taken off a receipt note, and find it's not available for 2 weeks, etc., etc. All those things can be seen from the sales order. Now, the only time we show expected date is when it's actually on a purchase order. So if it's allocated to stock, stuff like that, you won't see an expected date. So if we look in here, you see you've got the expected date for this item. So if it changes in receipts, then this date, so if it changed the 1st of May, this date will update. And if you look in your sales order in lines mode, you will, on your live system, you'll see a lot more because obviously it's just the test system, but you'll be able to see in here all the expected dates. And they will change in real time. Obviously, once it's got to invoice, you're probably not really interested in this, so you can filter on status. But you can see that from there, and it enables sales teams, customer service desks to be able to get more information, both from the sales order itself, like I just showed, or from the literally from the lookup in lines mode. Yeah. And don't forget, if it hasn't got so if it's invoiced and it hasn't got a date in there, that's because it was just allocated to stock. So so you will notice in your system any lines that are blank here. That means that was just sent straight out from stock. So if there's any further feedback and you think that maybe we should be putting some more information in there, then just let us know. But everything you purchase will be visible from sales. Yeah. So hopefully that'll reduce and improve the customer service opportunities without opening different screens. The next thing I want to cover is purchase invoice electronic pickup. So when you pick up electronically purchase invoices, historically, well, in previous releases, what we did is we would match a line based on a system key. Most of the lines would match, and you come into here and you would see it would be matched. But we've changed the way we've done this to make it a little bit more user-friendly. So we've added these fields, price difference, and we automatically, regardless of the price difference, we will put matched in here. Because what we were finding was if there was a slight price difference, it wasn't matching, and then you'd have to go and click the button and find the item, and it was time consuming. So now what we do is we match all the lines, providing it's on the PO and it matches the actual PO price within 10 cents or whatever the amount you've got set in your ID. But this is real time. So now we've added fully receipted. So you know whether those lines have been receipted, you know the price difference. And we've also added 2 system keys. So the previous default and the current default is to match against the purchase order actual cost. When you send the purchase order across and you get an acknowledgement back, sometimes you get a price that will come back different. And that's what we call the standard cost, yeah? So this here, the purchase stand, in this case, they're both the same, but they can be different. And what will happen is you can actually set the system key to say, I want to start matching on standard cost in future. So if the vendor has changed the price. Now there's 2 ways of doing that, because you can also look at the variation and just look at the what's been changed on a PO. But this is potentially different ways of doing it. If you go into the admin in purchasing, you will see 2 system keys. And for example, in here, somebody else has logged into it. So in here, I've got import. Sorry, I'm going to kill that. Unfortunately, one of the developers has logged in the back end and killed me. Let's just make sure I kill the right one. Should be that one. So yeah, in there, there's a system key that says, do you want to check whether it's receipted or not? It's in purchasing. And what will happen is it will still match, it'll come in, and if it's fully receipted no, then what will happen, this will not complete and go to posted. You have to be a little bit careful with that, because sometimes on the timing, the ASM will arrive and you've not receipted in your receipt notes. So from a timing point of view, I'd be a little bit careful using that, because you'd have to set up the timing for when you download your ASNs to be later in the day, maybe, so that your receipts are completed, so you don't get lots of PIs that sit as outstanding, simply because when you come into them later, they'll say fully receipted, yes, because this is real time and telling you what the current situation is, yeah. So for example, if I look at this one, in real time, it's telling me even though it's matched, there's a price difference, 548 in this case, and it's matching on the purchase order actual, and we can see the difference between the cost on the line and what was on the original PO has gone up. So in this case, it could stop it, because that's what would happen, because it's not matching. But when you come into here, you will also get an additional message in here that will say prices don't match, or items not receipted in. So if you set those system keys and you start using it, you will get additional messages to tell you why, But as soon as you click into the lines, that's real time, and all you have to do is, if you're accepting that, click posted. So it should save a lot of time on and give you more features for matching up purchase invoices. This is only for electronic purchase invoices. So we put more in the release notes. We've put a lot more detail for you to follow that. So as I say, there will be, I think there's two different system keys to match on the sales cost rather than the actual cost, and a system key to match it only if the items have been imported in. Okay, so jumping on to another part. If you split products, so if you buy items in and sell them in, and a lot of our customers do use this, we have a feature to be able to filter down here on your split items. If I say, okay, I want to see what items have got split here, that in this case that are in stock. So this one is a carton of 10, for example. So if you go into the product units, you can split down from a carton. This one's got 3 particular units, so they can sell and they can users can sell and manage different selling prices from here. However, historically, the cost prices didn't update when you had a change. So what we've done here is simply, if I change that to 300, so it's now $3. You will see that not only will this change, but the other one, they'll all change. Sorry, that's all the prices have changed, and they've included the landed margin. So the landed cost and the cost prices for all the units will change based on the default unit, and that'll also work for terms imports. So basically, it'll keep all your default units in line. You'll also notice here that if you're using third-party products for getting, and you want to pass, like Solving Maze, or you're using ShipStation, then you need to know what the physical weights and sizes are on every unit, because you'll get a different calculation for your shipping costs. So historically, again, we only had the dimensions and weights on the main product. You know, these for example will come down from Ascendant. But if you start selling splits, this allows you to put the prices, put the weights in and stuff for the splits. Some of these are available electronically, most are not. And then when you do, and that's interesting because we've now got Solving Maze API available, and we've got ShipStation API available. So you can do quotes from the web and from the back office for shipping, using third-party shipping, and it will use this information. Also, to help out a little bit, we've added that historically in the grid. When you go into the line mode here, product units mode, this will show you all the product units, and we've added some more filters like pack per, and the barcode on each unit and pack per will now work and allow you to find your split, certain sizes of splits. And in here in the grid, we've included a lot more information about whether that product's protected, what the weight of the specific unit is. So if you're doing third-party deliveries through stuff like ShipStation, that's particularly important and useful. Small change on dispatch notes, but very useful. We've had some complaints about the fact that accidentally sending stuff out or trying to pick stuff that's on hold. So we simply added a new field into the dispatch notes so that you can print the on hold status. Yeah. Now we didn't put it in there as default because obviously everyone's got all sorts of custom notes. but just it's very simple to do. Or if you need any help, you can talk to support. But you can just simply go in and add a field. So if you print a note out and it's on, you can put this anywhere. You can make it across the top or whatever. If that particular note is on hold, it will print it, and then hopefully your warehouse staff will see that. All it's coming from is this field here. If I untick that and save and reprint, then obviously you won't get that that field on the note. Okay, so there you can see that's now disappeared. I recommend setting that up for everyone. Really, it's a useful field because you can put stuff on hold from the sales order, for example, and from all different places, and it just makes it much easier from a visibility point for the warehouse people. So dispatch packed export. I'm not sure how often it's used, so I'll just quickly cover this. But in contracts, you can have what we call packed, which is contract. Take that out. Clear that and have a look. Just have one that's got a packed in. So we had quite a lot of situations where somebody would effectively export their packs so that they can work on prices and stuff, and then what would happen is that the next user couldn't use it. So in this case, I can see that this packed export is in progress, and I can see, okay, in this case, it's called Prima Sport 3, but it would have the actual name of the person who's currently exporting it. So you know that, and quite often these things would get left, and therefore you effectively locked out. So if it's your own, it will just simply say export in progress, and you'll be able to see that you've done it. The reason for this is because it's quite a lot of dealers will manage this quite closely, so they can manage the packed prices a bit like managing promotions. So exporting them is exporting and re-importing is a quick and easy way of changing the margins and stuff, a bit like you have on a mailer, or when you're updating them or updating them manually from a third party like 411. Company lookup, yeah, this is quite an exciting improvement, because we finally got to the point where we've got an automated export for HP. Currently, there's reports in there for doing it, and you have to manually obviously create that and send it off and all that stuff. So what this allows you to do effectively is put your HP, I think they're called PID number, into the company, and sorry, I don't know. I'm having trouble with my internet in the moment.
Is this a purchase edge that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Just close some of these down. Yeah, so effectively at the moment you have to do reports, and let me just run that again. I should really have a separate customer release database rather than doing it on the demo one. Okay, let's have a look what we got there now. So yeah, I think what you have to do at the moment is you have to run a report and then manually update it to HP. And what this allows you to do is you have to put all the what they call PID numbers. So your customers are registered, I think, with HP. And so that what this once you put them in there, we have an export that runs at the end of each month. You can set it up in the admin, and it will automatically extract and send it to the HP FTP site. So so it will then effectively build something similar to the report that you currently do. And we have a look in these advanced filters. We've got to see this HP ref. Had one that they just put a number in. So once you've set this up and you've got those numbers in there, and then you go into the admin and set up the schedule, defaults to once a month, and it'll do it in the first couple of days of the month. And then once that's all set up, it will any of your customers that have an HP reference in them, yeah, it will build the report for them and put all the necessary fields that they ask for, and they'll give you a response. They'll just respond and tell you that it's done. And just one thing on your own company, you have to put your own HP reference into the own company. But anyway, I think to set that up, we have to just we have to get HP to set up your SFTP so that we can send it, and then you need to put in all your. Is that meaningful, Jonathan, to you? What we're talking about, the HP PID reference PID?
Yeah, it is. So if you generate that report, right now we generate the report and just manually go into the website and upload it, but it's a CSV file.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you create an XML file.
An XML file that we send across with this, it'll have very similar details, yeah.
Is it?
Up.
Can you run it without the FTP? And does it go somewhere, or that we can just grab it?
Every customer has an FTP set up. I think we could just, if you wanted to put it somewhere else and manually put that XML in, you could do that, yeah. But I don't really see why you do that.
No, I'm actually just wondering, because we have it set up a little bit differently, and it would take a while to get our HP set up. But if that file is existing somewhere, rather than me generating it, I can just grab it for now.
Yeah,
but
eventually I think we could do that. Yeah, we
okay.
could
and then going through HP to get them to set up your SFTP might be painful, but we'll try that too. So,
well, there is, if you got the FTP set up, you could you could interact in that and just drop it into their FTP and just give yourself a reminder if you were interacting with it.
Well, no, we use the website. I actually log in and just upload a CSV file. So
yeah. So what HP do is, rather than you doing that, they provide this SFTP. You can put the information in there for it once a month, yeah, and then that updates it. There is another one which we've unfortunately been delayed on, but they've got a new API coming out that will do I think it's the weekly reports as well. So in the next release, we're hoping to have that one done.
But that's set for sales. Is that because we do a weekly report? It's
TDP.
Say that
what
again,
is it?
TDP, sales and inventory.
Yeah, there's one. There's two types of reports. Yeah, so as I say, we've unfortunately delayed on the other one, but that's what it'll do. Yeah.
Is that the amplify you're talking about, Jeff?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah.
So it'll be just great to be able to get this automated. I know it can be a lot of work for customers and stuff. So that's a great feature. So just one other thing I wanted to cover. I mean, there is lots of other stuff, and you can read the release notes, and there's lots of exciting stuff coming in every release, and we're doing a lot of work with our new Prima Go stores as well. So which you'll learn about soon. But one other thing that we added, which is quite important, is on the sales invoicing side. You now have we made a few improvements to the REST service. So you now have due date. Now, historically, obviously, your old invoices, you won't see the due dates. I need a posted one, don't I? But for any invoices that you do, let's get one there. I've posted already. I might have the due date on this one. Yeah, so this one. So the significance of there's a lot of significance of what's happened here. When you do either a manual posting or where you just literally click on here, it gets all this information in the same handshake, and therefore you get the paid status, and you also get the due date. Now, this due date is based on what's set up in your financials for this customer. So if this customer is 7 days, your due date will be 7 days from your invoice date. That's your tax date, your point of invoice. If it's 30 days, so whatever you've got set up in your financials, this will be reflected in here, and that will also be reflected in the balances. So when you see the balances and what's owed and what's outstanding, the same the same dates are used in there. But also, we did have an issue previously where this information was not updated until a couple of minutes after. So the information about, well, we didn't have due date, but the information about being paid wasn't updated until a couple of minutes after the EDC had posted the invoice. And sometimes the invoices would get sent out by email in the interim period, and therefore they didn't have the correct payment status at that point. So what happens now is, in the handshake, it will do that immediately, and you won't have that issue. It'll have the correct. So if it's been paid, it will say immediately paid. So if an email goes out, it will always have the correct information on it. Plus, with the addition of this extra field of due date, yeah. And we've also fixed an issue that I know Jeff knows about. For some reason, OEX were having a problem in particular. But when you hit the refresh, sometimes that was caching or doing something, and it wasn't connecting. But we've eliminated that problem now, and it will always show you the correct company.
All right.
What release is all this coming from?
It's in the release you've got now, yeah.
Oh,
Everything you just showed us is in the release we have now?
All the stuff I'm showing you today is in the release you've got now, yeah.
oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I thought some of it was in an upcoming release. Okay.
I might have talked about one thing, and I can't remember what it was now that we're working on. But all the rest of the stuff I've talked about today is in 0.16 and released. Just one thing, because I know on the sales invoices, we talked about the lookups, and some of the work has been done. So the fields are now, depending on your permissions, you can't see the actual costs on sales invoices. So when you go into the line detail, you can't see the actual costs unless Margin calculates based on whether you're allowed to see cost prices or not. Unfortunately, you didn't get in the grid. We're not including the delivery costs in the main grid. In the line grids, we've got extra. I'm just getting a little bit confused on which version it's in, but it's already, I know it's already been done and I've tested it because you've got the margins in the grid as well, which are correct.
Steve, I don't see the expected date in my sales module on the version that we're in. I don't see it in the option to add, hide, reorder columns either.
We don't have that expected date set up yet, Diana.
Oh, we have to set it up?
Or do you know-
Okay, I thought it was just automatically
No, it is
added in.
automatically. On new orders, you should get that. If you're on version 0.16 and that sales order is linked to a purchase, you should get the expected date in there.
I'm just looking at my my general sales order lookup screen right now, and I've got a
You
couple
need to go into the
customers that
line.
have
Are you in the
placed
lines
orders.
mode? So when you're in the sales order,
No, I'm on the main.
I know it won't
Do I have
show
to
in
be
the
in
main.
lines?
It's per line. It's showing you because every line can have a different expected
That's what it
date.
is, expected date. It's an expected date column.
Let me go in here, waiting for the system.
It'll probably be the last column. You rearrange your columns, obviously, but when we add them, you normally see it at the end.
You have to add the column.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where'd it go?
Well, I'll look for it as soon as my blue spinny thingy stops spinning.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's probably what happened is you added the column, but it was the last column.
Yeah,
So we didn't.
I see it in the last column automatically.
It
Oh, okay.
depends on because it's a self-adjusting grid, so it depends on. But you do need to be in this lines mode, and obviously,
Okay.
but obviously it's a really important field. Now, interestingly, that expected date is the final phase before we're adding so we're actually doing a job for the next, and this is for next release. So the next release you'll have auto emailing to contacts, the back order information. So when the expected dates get changed, well, it'll be up to you whether you send the initial one, the initial email. But after that, once the expected date changes by contact, you can decide if that contact is against the sales order, it will email them with an update on the expected date.
Along those lines, the packing list for back order items, can you put the expected date in there, or is it?
Packing list.
Yeah, say we order something and there's an item that's back ordered.
Yeah, well, it's available now. Probably isn't in there. Yeah, so just
And
send me
on the same.
Send me an email to remind me. Yeah.
And on the same line, so the due dates, a couple quick questions about that.
Yeah.
Is that part of our customized invoices, or is that something we have to add?
You have to add that, the due date. Yeah.
But that's available in the.
It's available now, yeah, in this release, yeah.
Okay. And
the only thing is that I'd wait because well, you've had this release for a little while, haven't you? But it's just that it doesn't work historically on the older ones, so.
So it'd be blank, basically.
It might be blank in some of your older invoices.
I gotcha. And then the terms, is that updatable in the grid?
The terms are updated in your financial system, and they just reflect it in the due date. So we don't pull down the actual terms. I mean, it's probably something we're going to do, so you can see what the terms are. But by default, it just calculates the due date based on the terms of that customer.
Is that from QuickBooks?
From QuickBooks, yeah. Because QuickBooks have, quite detailed. Well, every financial system that we link to has different ways of doing terms. QuickBooks have a lot of, they might have a default of, say, first day of the following month, or it might be the fifth of the following month. But you can individually then set up every customer to have a different terms, yeah.
Okay, so whatever QuickBooks offers, you offer that too. Is that including discounts, like net 10, 5% or something?
No, we don't. The discounts are done through Prima, and we pass because the invoices are created in Prima. The only thing we're doing is pulling back the payment status immediately and the due date immediately.
Okay.
So we've got some plans to do a little bit. Well, we're constantly adding stuff into the QuickBooks, but certainly on bank accounts, we're going to be posting to give you the ability to post the different bank accounts on the payments and stuff. and auto allocate. If it's not already auto allocating, I think it does already auto allocate. So yeah, that's all I wanted to cover for this release, and you'll get some release notes sent out, and obviously there'll be a recording to look at any detail.